on into the show, Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Stonebridge Wealth Systems spanning the globe of the Midwest. All right, you have clients all over, but I've got Tim Kulhanek here in the Lincoln office, but if you want to be seen in the Omaha office, fine. Kearney, of course, Grand Island, too. How are you, Tim?
Doing all right. A little tired. I've been traveling this past week for work, and flew back in last night.
And boy, are your arms tired.
My arms, my eyes are tired. My voice is tired. Phoenix to Denver, Denver to Lincoln.
Oh.
Little itty bitty plane to Lincoln, like always. So you're a little scrunched. But, this unseasonably warm weather, it was hot on that plane. I'd rather be cold than hot.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I prefer cold. But.
Yeah, and it's the type of plane where your legs, right? There's, your legs are kind of crunched up.
They always are, Yeah.
But,
yeah, especially those little ones. And, there's this thing with traveling. So a lot of people know that you can have two items when you go on the plane, right? A carry-on and a personal item. Well, if you fly out of Lincoln, it's a tiny little plane, so no rollerboard bag is ever going to fit on the plane. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't matter the size. It won't fit. So, I travel enough that I've kind of got it. I think I've got a system where what I do is I have a backpack, a duffel, and then I also have my garment bag if I'm needing to take a suit or something with me, and I usually do. But you can only have two items. Two items. So what I do is I will transfer stuff from the duffel into the garment bag. I will then take my backpack and jam it into my duffel,
right.
Get on the plane, take the backpack out, jam the garment bag and the duffel into the overhead bin.
Hey, there you go.
Have the backpack with me, take it off the plane, get to the next gate if I'm making a connection, and you just do that over again. And, people are going to hear this, and they're going to be like, wow, he is cheap. He just doesn't, he doesn't want to check a bag, right? He just doesn't want to do it. And the reality is, you're right. I don't want to check a bag. I don't think it's because I'm cheap, because I get a bag checked for free with the airline I fly on. But I hate when I get home and it's 11 o'clock at night or 11:30, having to go downstairs and sit and wait for the little thing to move around, I hate that. I just want, I get home, I want to go home. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, good. Well, it sounds like a really good practice, Tim. I'm sure that people are going to pick up on it. But you have to leave a little room inside the duffel and inside the...
There's some strategy.
Okay, yeah.
There is.
Very good. Well, it's kind of like the strategy that you lay out for people when you talk to them about their retirement and all the points on the compass. This is Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. I'm Jackie, by the way. I don't say that very often.
Hi,
somebody
Jackie.
said, what? Who is that girl? I'm like, I guess I should say my name.
Who's that lady?
Who's that lady? From time to time, but...
Jackie lady.
Yeah. I thought we could talk about a little bit about the... psychology of
retirement
and the money.
Good.
Because how hard is it? Retirees, the plan looks good. You've got all of the bases covered with everything you help them prepare for. But sometimes people think I'm just not fine. Is it because it's been jammed into our heads that we have to save, don't spend?
I don't know if it's that. I mean, that may be an aspect of it, but I think it's more like partial rational response, partial kind of psychological mental block that's of irrationality. So the rational response piece is, hey, when I was working, I don't hesitate to spend money because I know 2 weeks from now I'm going to have another paycheck coming in. Once I'm retired, those paychecks stop, but my bills don't. So where's my next paycheck, so to speak, going to come from?
Right.
Well, okay, Social Security. Sure, but Social Security doesn't cover as much of my expenses as my paycheck did. What about your pension? Well, most people don't have those anymore. I think between 11 and 15% of private industry workers today are covered by a true defined benefit pension plan. So those have kind of gone the way of T-Rex. So poor guy,
I know, poor
little
T-Rex.
arms.
With his short little arms, yeah.
He's so ferocious, but then he was like,
I can't pay the bill. I can't reach the bill in the restaurant.
I don't know. Sorry, it's late again. So my point is, if you took two retirees, let's say one has $1 million saved and the other one has 500,000, but they also have a pension for 3,000 a month plus Social Security of 2,000 a month. Which one do you think feels more confident? The one with $1 million and no pension, or the one with 500,000 bucks but a guaranteed income for the rest of their life on top of their Social Security?
I know the answer, and that's the latter. Of the two.
Yeah, the one with less money, but they don't have less money. They actually have actuarially equivalent amounts of money. It's just the one has their money in the form of guaranteed income. And so really what it comes down to is if you gave people the option, they would take income, the certainty, over the dollar value, the dollar signs, the wealth, so to speak. But if you look at the way most people design their retirements, there's, I think, stats show that maybe it's less than 20%. So there's this thing from, his last name was Thaler, I think, Thaler.
Okay.
It was called the Annuity Puzzle. It came out years ago and essentially just examined like, hey, how many people like annuities if they have one, whether they know it's an annuity or not. So like, do you like your pension? Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Okay. Well, so it pays like it's like an annuity, right? Well, no, it is. So, okay, they found that people like annuities. Okay. Then they said, all right, well, do people spend more money or less money if they have guaranteed income? Well, they spend more. Okay. So if people like guaranteed income, if they have higher satisfaction in retirement with guaranteed income, if they're more confident and they spend more confidently with guaranteed income, that must mean that a huge percentage of retirees are scrambling to get their money into some sort of environment that provides guaranteed income. And what was the answer to that? And the answer is no. Less than 20% of retirees, I think, have some sort of guaranteed income product beyond just Social Security.
Oh, truly.
And like, I'm not trying to tell people to go buy annuities.
No.
Because some annuities, like, they're terrible. And I saw one the other day. Somebody came in and they were paying like 1.5% a year for their annuity, and the most they could make was 1%. So they're guaranteed to lose money every single year. Like, who is that good for? I know, the person that sold it to them because they got a big commission on it. But what I am trying to say is one of the biggest reasons why we've had a decline, like if you look at the different surveys that come out, there's one like Retirement Confidence Survey. There's one from like EBRI and Employee Benefit Research Institute, I think is who it is. And like the results really never change. You know, the numbers are declining in people's confidence in retirement, but that's coincided with, again, the decline in things like defined benefit pension plans, with more uncertainty about Social Security. So it all revolves around income, because in retirement, you don't live off your assets, you live off income. And there was a study that was kind of distilled down by David Blanchett and Robert Finke, I think was his name, both professors. Blanchett used to be head of research, retirement planning research for Morningstar. Now he works for another institution. But really, really bright guy, one of the like foremost experts in like retirement income planning in all of the United States. Like, to be honest, like he's very well known in this field. And essentially what he found was, you know, if you look at the studies and look at the surveys, a huge portion of people, I think it was like, let me think about it for a second, 2/3 of those surveyed weren't spending more than what the income their portfolios produced effectively, or what income they received. Mm-hmm. In other words, not necessarily the income their portfolio produced, but all of the income they had. They weren't spending down their assets at all. So in other words, if you have that person with $1 million and that portfolio kicks off, let's say Social Security is $3,000, okay? So $36,000 a year, and the portfolio kicks off $40,000. They're not going to pull more than the $40,000 because they don't want to see the balance drop. But then you ask those people, like, well, is it because you have a specific bequest goal? You want to leave money to the next generation? It was like 1 in 20 said yes. It was a very small percentage. So they weren't saving it for anyone. They wanted to spend it themselves, but psychologically they couldn't get over the hump. So, and again, they determined that it was because people are like, well, what if I live a long time? You know, what if I lived 100? Or what if I need long-term care for 7 years? Those are what we call tail risks. So in other words, if you look at like a distribution bell curve, The things in the middle are the things that are most likely to happen. So we know that, like, hey, if you're a 65-year-old couple, most likely one of you is going to live probably to their early 90s, but both of you are going to live, on average between this age and this age, right? Now, sure, out here on the tail, there's the 114-year-old you hear about on, Good Morning America. But why are we spending all of our time focused on this when this is a minute possibility? We should be focusing on what's in the middle and the most probable. But yet people that's the irrationality. And that's why, Jackie, in my opinion, a financial advisor that actually does their job, gives you information you can actually use and guidance beyond just, hey, I'm going to invest your money. Like, well, yeah, I'm going to invest your money. I'm going to help you do it, but I'm going to help you spend your money too. Because my job isn't to just try to get you to grow your money to as much as you possibly can and then die without spending any of it. Like, what was the point? Life is about, if you think about two circles, okay, that intersect. So you circle here. What are those Venn diagrams? I need, what's her name to help me with it? So where it intersects right here. Okay, so think of this is experiences on one side.
All right.
And this is, your money, if you will.
All right.
In the middle, this is just where you spend it, okay? So experiences with the people you love, your money, spend it here, okay? Because if we go back to our book, Happy Money, from years ago, and Norton and Dunn, the number one way you can interact with your money and get the highest degree of satisfaction out of interacting with it is by buying experiences, not stuff, but buying experiences, vacations, being there for the, grandkids' graduation, whatever that looks like, going skiing. Hopefully there's enough snow. We talked about that. Like, a lot of those things are where you're going to have, and the reason being, Jackie, is because if you buy a thing, you buy a new car, you buy a new refrigerator, you buy a new whatever, it gives you a little bit of happiness boost, a little dopamine kick for maybe a few weeks to a few months, but then it goes away. But if you think about planning a vacation with your family, right? You actually ramp up to the point where you're getting the highest level of satisfaction. As high as the satisfaction will go is just before you actually engage in the activity.
It's true.
So you get to enjoy that anticipation that you don't necessarily get with those other things. And then it doesn't ever actually go down to zero because you continue to talk about it. We still talk about things that we did in 1990s.
Hey, Tim, do you want to clarify that information that you were talking about, the EBR study, or what's it called?
EBRI, so Employee Benefit Research Institute.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. I'll be quick with this, but the numbers, I was really actually close. Pretty good from memory, actually, I'm going to say. It says prior research suggests that defined contributions, looks like 401k, 403b, that type of retiree, generally challenged with the concept of spending down assets. For example, only 34% of 65 to 74-year-old households, so kind of like the target demographic for the people we serve, spent more than their income in 2017, and this percentage has been declining since 2011. So they're spending a lower and lower percentage of their overall nest egg, and they're not spending more than what the income is produced, unfortunately. He goes on to say that the 2020 EBRI Retirement Confidence Survey finds that only 1 in 20 retirees are strategically spending down their assets. 2 in 3 say they're preserving them for later, and only 30% say they actually want to leave inheritance. So basically 2/3 aren't spending more than the income that is produced, but only 1/3 say they're actually saving it for a specific bequest. Like, hey, I want to go to my kids, church, charity, or the other. And
only 1/3?
Yeah, only 1/3, like 30%, so less than 1/3. So the point is, if you fail to spend down your savings by living only off the income produced by those savings, it's an extreme measure to ensure that tail risk I was talking about. It doesn't make sense. But ultimately what I want to do as an advisor is I want to give my clients, the name of this article by Blanchett and Finke is a license to spend. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. That's the idea of the Retirement Compass, is having a process that isn't a product. Okay. So I want to be clear about that.
All right.
When you go to, a lot of maybe other firms, there might be some product that maybe you go to a workshop, let's just say that, and they talk about a specific product. It's like, hey, you buy this product, that problem goes away. And there's great tools out there that can do a lot of different things. If somebody wants to leave money to the next generation, there's tools for that. If someone wants to grow their money, there's tools for that. If someone wants to be tax efficient, there's tools for that. But how do you make decisions when like life gets in the way, schedules take over, the economy changes, the market changes, products change, managers leave? Like, how do you adjust? How do you adapt? And so you don't want to be in a position where you're guessing. And we certainly don't do that. We don't guess. We take your information, we forecast, and we adjust on a regular basis. But every decision we make is filtered through the retirement compass because it's a process, it's a framework. It's a strategy that is designed to allow us to spend your money intentionally, not by accident, without surprises, okay? Or minimizing those surprises. So like when people come in, I say, here's what I can tell you you're going to get. Or maybe what you're not going to get. There will be no pressure, okay? We're just not that type of firm. No pressure.
Right.
Just clarity. And I think that's what people are looking for.
I think so, too. Tim's number is 866-295-5146. Of course, they're not travel agents, but Tim and the entire team at Stonebridge, more than experience to get you to and through the retirement that really makes a difference. 866-295-5146.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
I'm Jackie Selby. I might as well say my name once in a while. But Tim, the reason I say that is because I was talking to a lady at the coffee place, right?
Yeah.
Well, I heard her conversation with someone else, and she really wasn't with a friend. She was just talking to everybody who would listen. And the doctor's office, a corporate one that she got let go from, her and two other doctors. And I mean, this lady looked young, found out she was 76 years old. And you just ask one thing about people in a situation like that. You pull over and you're waiting for your cuppa, and the next thing I know, she's telling me everything. She's like, well, I've saved $2 million, in my 401ks, and now I want to, make sure I'm going to still work 2 days a week at another clinic to make sure that I have spending money. 76 years old, so she can go on trips she's interested in a ministry down in Africa, right? Long story. But anyway, she's got a lot of money.
She's got $2 million. She's got Social Security.
Yes.
And who knows if she has other resources, rental income, anything like that.
Could be.
And she could right now live to 96, spend $200,000 a year and make nothing along the way.
Right.
Right. Golly, that's tough.
I know. And she has no children. She's a single lady, never had any children, and is not married. And so everyone's different. And I know that the majority of people we're going to be talking to right now or hear this broadcast are probably married with children, right? Yeah. She just doesn't. That's how different clientele can come in. But she's probably never going to spend that money. So
she has no kids?
No children.
So rational response to longevity risk, which is, okay, I'm a risk-averse retiree. I want to spend less because I'm uncertain about how long I'm going to live. And like the number one fear among retirees is still outliving their money. So they conserve their wealth. They don't spend. And, it's really tragic because what happens is they don't go on that trip they could have got on. They don't go out to eat. They eat at home, even though they could have afforded to treat themselves every so often. They don't buy that new car. They just continue to, ride around, riding dirty with that 1997. I mean, some of those Toyotas, they could run for another 30, 40 years. They got 200,000 miles on them. They're just getting warmed up. So rational response to longevity risk, but also behavioral resistance to spending down assets.
Right.
I don't want to see the balance go down. Why'd you save the money? To use it in retirement.
You're in retirement. It's really funny that, and she said certain things like, I don't want that, I don't want to be on a budget. Well, how are you on a budget with $2 million?
How much of a budget are we talking?
Yeah. She said, I want to be able to buy things for the children in the ministry, and show up like, Santa Claus when she goes down there. I go, yeah, but what are you buying them? Houses,
Right.
I didn't say that to her, but
here's the thing. Even if she is, it's probably not what we think of when we say buy a house, right?
No.
I mean, she probably could help a lot with that.
Yes.
But again, let's just assume that she took Social Security at 70. And she's a physician.
She's 76.
So she's probably making around $50,000 a year baseline from Social Security after cost of living adjustments and the delayed retirement credit she got from 66 to 70. So if she's knocking down that and she could pull 200 before tax, and let's just do some quick math and let's assume, where does she live? What state?
She lives in 2 different states. She lives in North Carolina and Florida.
So let's assume that her tax status is in North Carolina. What's state income tax there?
I'm not sure.
Let's just say it's 6%.
Okay.
That's kind of high,
I
but
think
Nebraska's is about just it actually dropped, so it's below 5 now.
All right.
But if we say that 200,000, and then let's take 85% of her Social Security, I said it's $50,000. We'll take 85% of that and say that's knocking over to line B, column B, I should say. That's 42.5 plus 200 on the withdrawal. We're at 242. Let's subtract standard deduction. So her standard deduction would be 16,100 minus 2,000 minus another. Well, she's going to be phased out, so we'll just give her like 2,500 for easy math. 221, and let's say that that's even at an average effective rate of like 20% across the board, including state, which is probably
4.25.
way too high.
I looked at, yeah.
That's 44. It's only 4.25.
Yeah.
So that's 44. Add back the 221.
She's bringing in money.
If she can
That's what
live
she's saying.
on roughly, you ready for it, Jackie?
Yep.
Okay.
125.
No, more than that.
Oh, my.
If she can live on like 15 grand a month, she should be good.
15 grand a month.
If she makes no money. If everything went perfectly wrong and she made no money. So here's what I would tell her. I said, you have 2 choices. You can continue to go the way you go
Call Stonebridge.
and have a lower satisfaction of retirement because you're not retired. Make less money and pay more taxes because you don't have an efficient plan, because you don't have a plan, because clearly if you had a plan, you wouldn't be working still.
Right.
Or you can make some choices to intentionally spend money, give every dollar a job. Stop trying to make every dollar do everything. That's one of the things that people get in trouble with is they try to make all of their money do everything. I want it to grow, be safe, provide me income, and I want to leave it to the next generation. Like, no, let's give every dollar a lane. You live in the safety lane. You're in the income lane, and you're in the growth lane, right? Safety, income, growth. Let's stop trying to make our money be jack of all trade, and then they end up being a master of none. And just this dollar is going to be really good at income. Okay, so I'll give you a quick story. A couple years ago, a couple comes to me, and they've been working with another advisor in town, and they had this big variable annuity that they had money in. And then we were talking about annuities earlier, so I'll just continue. It's kind of a germane to the conversation. And essentially the way it worked was he was already about to turn 70. Okay, he was 68 at the time, and about to turn 69. So I'll correct myself. And I looked at the situation. I'm like, "Why are you working?" He's like, "Well, they told me I should work till 70 to max my Social Security." And I said, "No, no." And then I asked him, I'm like, "Well, I go through the Retirement Compass Fact Finder, and we go through income we go through income, investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy." I got to healthcare, and I said, "Just tell me, what's longevity been like in your guys' families?" And hers, it's pretty long. It's like, well, mom was in her 90s,
well,
and
golly. Yes.
grandma, and my Aunt Edna, she lived,
Right.
And I said, okay, and we'll call him Bill. Bill, what about you? He's like, I've already outlived my dad, my granddad. Why are you working? What are we doing here? Well, they told me I need to work till 70. Then I got looking in the annuity. And in order for them, so it has this thing called an income rider. So it's like 2 different ledger balances. You've got your real money, and then you've got your hypothetical income account value money. And a lot of people don't realize that that's not a dollar amount you can actually withdraw. It's just an accounting number that's used to determine what the basically base is, or the income base. It's part of a formula. You get a percentage of that once you start drawing. And if it sounds confusing, it's because it is. Well, until he turned like 75, he could only get like 4.25% or something. I can't remember all the exact numbers, but it was really low by today's standards. Because today I went to Annuity Rate Watch the other day, because we were talking about this on our TV show recently. I went to Annuity Rate Watch, and right now a 65-year-old couple, okay, if they retired today and they said, hey, I need $1,250 per month,
right.
$1,250 per month take that times 12, that's $15,000 for the year, right? How much would they have to, and this isn't including accounting for taxes. We'll get to that. Believe me, we get to that.
Okay.
How much would they need to put into a joint lifetime guaranteed income payout annuity today in order to generate $1,250 a month? Okay. Well, guess what I found? It was around like 200, depending on the product the carrier you want to go with, but preference,
right?
A little over 200,000. Let's just say it was 210,000. So if we take 15,000, okay, and we take that out of 210,000, that's a 7.14% distribution rate.
Wow.
He had to wait, and it's 65 for both of them. He was already 68, almost 69, and he was going to be 75 before we get 4.25.
Forget it.
So, like when people hear the A word, is what I call it, and they hear annuity, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't want anything to do with that insurance stuff." Well, okay, well that's fine, but the stats are clear. People with guaranteed income. So either you got like, if we don't want to go that route, that's fine. But if you want to spend double per year in retirement, because people with guaranteed income, guess what? They spend double what those people we were just talking about, the risk averse, rational response, behavioral resistance. They'll spend double every single year in retirement. Why? Because those are people are spending around 3.5% because that's what their portfolio is kicking off. And I just told you that 3/4 of them or 2/3 of them aren't spending more than what their portfolio is kicking off, right? I just told you what the guaranteed, the actuarial equivalency is on an annuity. It's 7.14. It's double. It just is math at this point. And so what I would tell folks that are listening out there right now is if running out of money is a concern to you, let's just have a conversation. You're not going to come in here and be sold something because that's just not how I do things.
Right.
We don't sell you something that you don't want, don't need, or can't use. I won't allow it, okay? There's plenty of business out there. There's way more people that need help than I can help, okay? But that's part of the reason why we're building the team, and we got a good team around us. Number two, I'd say if you already have an annuity, whether you're drawing on it or not, like there's...
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
Welcome back to the show. Hey, now listen, Tim has a toy there. Wait a second, I like this one. We're back.
This is a tool, not a toy.
Sorry, it's a tool. Welcome back to Retirement Compass Radio Show. Too bad compasses don't really make too much noise, or we'd get that sound effect ready. Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. You know, also visible and available in podcast form, either on YouTube, Stonebridge Wealth Systems, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Anywhere you get them.
Yeah, anywhere you get. Yeah.
Spotify? Yeah.
Spotify, Apple.
There.
We're there. And
Google,
I put together the best of the best that we talk about each week on the radio and put that in your podcast form, okay? 866-295-5146 if you need more information on any of this. Oh, I guess the website spells a lot of it out, doesn't it?
StonebridgeIWM.com.
Yeah, StonebridgeIWM.com, StonebridgeIWM.com. Don't you hate that when you're watching somebody talk about something and then they say the name of it or their name too fast? You're like, what was that?
But that's why I would also tell people to just go ahead while they're writing these things down, go to StonebridgeTaxBill.com. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go to StonebridgeTaxBill.com? Is there a reason?
No.
Why we wouldn't go to StonebridgeTaxBill.com to find out exactly how much maybe not exactly, but roughly how much your total tax burden in retirement might be. You're going to have two options, folks. You either have the government's plan or your own strategic plan, and you get to choose which one you want to go with.
And that's a good landing page for Stonebridge. It's StonebridgeTaxBill.com.
Yes.
See? Or put in Stonebridge. You'll get to the bottom of it.
But real quick, it is an awesome tool that we have, that calculator. I love it.
That is a tool.
The clients love it. We've got a ton of great feedback on it. We talk about it on our TV show as well. But essentially, it allows you to put in your general information. Here's my name. Here's my age. Here's what I think my tax rate is. And here's roughly how much I have in pre-tax retirement accounts. And then it's going to run a report for you. I mean, it's really simple, but it just shows you, like, it's the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stew, or whatever, you know. What is my mandatory tax bill? In other words, when we talk about a tax plan or a balanced comprehensive approach to retirement where we're using tax strategy in order to minimize the amount of taxes you pay, think of trying to pay taxes. You don't want to go from peak to peak to go through retirement where you pay a bunch and then go down and then pay a bunch more and go down. You're going to go through the mountain range valleys, right? It's going to save you a lot of energy. You're going to have more energy when you get to your destination to have a lot of fun. So StonebridgeTaxbill.com, you're going to see your mandatory tax bill. I can't take your taxes away completely. Somebody told me in a meeting the other day, they said, Tim, a friend of mine is getting ready to retire. He said he's waiting until, after 59 and a half to take any money out of his retirement accounts because once you're 59 and a half, you don't have to pay tax on that money anymore.
Wow, where did he get that mixed message?
I don't know. Probably some guy on the internet who makes angry faces and hates annuities. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Like I have no idea. Probably from another buddy, right? But that's the game of telephone, right? Where it starts here, and I say, "Hey, once you're 59 and a half, you don't have to pay a penalty to get your money out anymore." And then I whisper it, and it goes from one person to the next. And by the time it comes back around, all of your money is tax free. That's just not how it works. When you think about your mandatory tax bill, you're going to pay some amount of tax. Okay, when you take the money out, whether you take it out over time or you take it out more rapidly through things like Roth conversions. But there's also an optional tax bill. And that's more of the government's plan that says, hey, we want you to keep that money in there. 59 and a half, there's no penalty. But did you know you don't have to take it out until you're 73? If you were born between 1951 and 1959, if you were born in 1960 or later, you don't have to wait till you don't have to take it out till you're 75. You should just wait. Why would you take it out? Well, why you would take it out is because we're in some of the lowest tax environment we've been in history. And right now, the top income tax bracket's 37%, and in 1944, I think it was 94%. Now, I don't know where taxes are going, but I've got a hunch. I got an idea that the government's trying to get more and more people to pay tax now, believe it or not, because they're desperate for money, but it's short-sighted because they're also going to need the tax money later, right? Starting in 2026, Jackie, I don't know if you remember this, but anybody who made $150,000 or more in 2025, if they want to make catch-up contributions to their 401ks, or 403bs, their group retirement accounts, they made $150,000 or more, that catch-up, this is 50 or older, that catch-up has to go to Roth. Well, why did the government put that in place with the Secure Act 2.0? Because they need the money now.
They want the taxes now.
Because they're overspending by $1.7 trillion. How many years are in a trillion seconds? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 34,000 and some change. It's a big, big number. So my point is, now is the time to be thinking about this. We have a window of opportunity to take advantage of this and potentially save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, and not only save taxes, but avoided tax drag, so additional growth you're going to get because you're not having to pay tax year over year over year in those taxable accounts. So StonebridgeTaxbill.com, it'll give you your mandatory tax bill, your optional tax bill. You can look at that, and it will give you the report. It's not like, oh, well, now you got to sign up to come in for an appointment to get the report. You're going to get the report. It's going to email it to you. Will we reach out? Yeah, absolutely, because a plan without execution is just a wish. So our job isn't to say, hey, here's some great ideas. Let's maybe talk in 6 months when, you haven't implemented any of them. No, if this is important to you, go to StonebridgeTaxbill.com, run the report. We'll reach out to you. And if you want to take action to, augment your circumstances to better suit your purposes and achieve your goals, great. We'd love to be a partner in that endeavor with you.
And that number is 866-295-5146 to call, or StonebridgeTaxbill.com, StonebridgeTaxbill.com, or 866-295-5146. It is tax season. What other great reason is because taxes are probably going to go up. But if you don't take action, and maybe you just get the report yourself and think, okay, well, I'm just going to act on this part of it. Well, taxes are just one of the points on the compass. So we want that retirement to work out properly for you, but taxes is a fine place to start if that's appealing to you. StonebridgeTaxbill.com. All right, we were talking about, retirement before this segment. Just kidding. We always talk about retirement, but talk to me about averages. Why do averages fail people when it comes to, like, say, average inflation, average spending? What's my average spending? I don't know. I was an average student for a while, and then my dad kicked my fanny, and now I became a better student. I don't know. Tell me about averages.
Average return, I think going back to 1926 for the S&P 500 is 10.5%. How many years? There's 99 years here, roughly, looks like. Out of roughly 100 years of data, if the average is 10.5%, how many years out of 100 do you think the S&P 500 itself has returned between 8 and 12%? 6.
No way.
Yeah. So average and actual is totally different.
Oh, wow.
The S&P 500's distribution of returns is weighted more on the tails, if you will, in the sense that you got 38 out of 100 years that was 20 plus. You've got 20 that it was between 0 and negative 20. You got 14 that it was between 0 and 8, 16 between 12 and 20. You only have 6 that it was 8 to 12, okay? So it hardly ever returns its average. We just had 3 years in a row of 15+% returns. That's only the 8th time in history that's happened.
Wow.
So 2023, the S&P 500 is up 26.3%, 24 was 25%, 25 was 17.9%. Let's say that you were trying to get cute with your investment strategy and you were moving in and out of the market. You sold after Liberation Day because you said, this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing and he's going to crash the economy. By the way, it wouldn't have been necessarily all your own fault. Here's NPR. Sell USA, ? This is April 21st last year. Sell USA, why Trump's tariffs may be sparking a historic storm on Wall Street. That's scary. Here's USA Today.
Wow.
Tariffs tank the stock market. Did investors panic and sell? Here's the data. CNBC. Dow nosedives 1,600 points. S&P 500 and NASDAQ dropped the most since 2020 after Trump's tariff onslaught. That was April 3rd. Okay. Well, I don't know. When I read headlines like Sell USA and, historic storm, like that tends to scare people.
It sure does.
Especially close to retirement. So what did they do? Investor Business Daily tells us investors who sold during tariff scare lost $7.6 trillion in value. Like, Are you kidding me? So the market, if you missed the 10 best days last year, by the way, you'd have lost over 10%. So let's say there was 252 trading days or whatever there is. Like I don't have everything memorized. Sorry, folks. But there's 260 trading days.
Okay.
If you missed the 10 best, you went from plus 17.9 to minus like 12 or 14 or something like that, right? That's why time I'm more worried about execution, like, what is the old saying? Like, substance over form or whatever it is, right? Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be like some really, I've got my money managed by some highfalutin schmuckety schmuck at Blowhard and Boggle. Like, I don't care. They're probably like, if you're overthinking things and you're trying to move in and out of the market and you miss the good opportunity, there's a chance that you're going to be left behind. Because if you miss the 10 best days over a 20-year period, it cuts your return basically in half. So here's what I want to leave you with in this segment, folks.
Okay.
We want to give every single dollar you have a purpose, right? Its own lane. So you can spend money intentionally, pay taxes intentionally, not by accident, no surprises. And the one thing, again, I can tell you if you come in, no pressure, just clarity.
Here's the number for Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. By golly, this is a good time to call.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
StonebridgeRetirement.net. Now, we already talked about StonebridgeTaxBill.com, but StonebridgeRetirement.net. What's on there, Tim Kulhanek?
This is our retirement reality check. So
Okay.
sometime I'll do like a live demonstration. But essentially, once you go to StonebridgeRetirement.net, you're going to come up to the retirement reality check, and it's going to say this is a comprehensive evaluation designed to gauge your preparedness for one of life's most significant transitions. How many times do you want to retire?
Once, thank you.
Once, thank you. Once, thank you. And I want to make sure that we do everything in our power to make that one, because you only get one shot at it, folks. So would it make sense? Is there a reason why it wouldn't make sense to spend maybe 10 minutes going to StonebridgeRetirement.net and just kind of getting a second opinion? Look, there's nobody there to look over your shoulder, all right? This is confidential. It's between you and the computer. It will give us a score, but it's not going to be a situation where you can't get your score without, sometimes you do these tools and it's like, oh, well, put all of your information in. Someone will call you with your results. No. We're going to give you your results. Welcome. This quiz helps you discover how prepared you are for retirement. It's going to be basic stuff. It's not going to be overly complicated. You put your name in, put a little bit of information in, and then you get into the quiz. And here's why this is important. Because today in America, I think the baby boomer generation, there was something like 30% of the baby boomers had less than around like $30,000 saved for retirement.
Oh, wow.
So we clearly aren't doing a good enough job of getting people prepared for retirement. Well, a good way to know ahead of time is to just get a reality check. That's why I want to encourage everybody to go to StonebridgeRetirement.net and find out. And guess what? If you find out you love the results, great. If you find out that there's some things on there that maybe you need to take a little bit deeper look into, great. We've got a team of experienced advisors across the state, and we work with people across the country, for that matter, that can help you make sense of the report. It's usually not like wholesale changes, folks. Rarely ever. If you go to talk to an advisor that says you got to change everything, I'd talk to somebody else, right? We can pull some levers, tweak some knobs, and probably get you on the road to retirement that you want to be with confidence so you can enjoy the things that you've always dreamed of. Mm-hmm. That's our goal.
It's beautiful. Those are beautiful words, Tim. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And that's just one of the, I don't know what you call them, extras that you offer through Stonebridge.
We got a lot.
Stonebridge Tax Bill, as you mentioned, StonebridgeRetirement.net.
Yep, StonebridgeLegacy.net is another one.
And then there's StonebridgeLegacy.net.
Yes, there is.
Now, that kind of, what you told me in the last segment freaks me out a little, is that only a certain percentage, and it's a low percentage, 30% of Americans plan to leave their money to someone.
Yeah, but most of it end up doing, like that lady's never going to spend her money.
No, but
I've
the
got
lady,
a meeting with some
about
folks this afternoon, and so questions people want answers to. When can I retire? Will my money last as long as I need it to? Will my family be okay if something happens to me? And how much can I spend every month and every year in retirement with confidence? And then how can I enjoy retirement without feeling guilty or punished for doing so, right? So that's that license to spend. That's that, hey, you know what? We're going to disinherit Washington, not your kids, right? We're going to minimize the tax bill that you pay over your lifetime. We're going to use all the strategies and tools and techniques and the dollar cost averaging and the qualified charitable distributions and the RMDs. Like, we're going to take care of all that, right? Too often, people go into retirement feeling like an air traffic controller, right?
Right.
They're up in the tower and they've never been there. They just get dropped in there. They didn't do that for a living, but all of a sudden they're trying like, okay, I got RMDs coming over here, and then there's some IRMAs, and it looks like Medicare Part B is going up this year by 9.7%. And it's like trying to talk to 15 different airlines from 15 different countries with 15 different languages and a bunch of lights and things and knobs and sirens that you don't understand. And to me, like, nobody should go through this phase of life alone. You don't have to. What if there was a better way so you could have maybe a first class seat on the plane, and you can have somebody else dealing with all of the stuff that keeps you up at night. That's what My Team Advisor is designed to do.
866-295-5146. 866-295-5146. Go ahead and call Stonebridge Wealth Systems.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
You only retire once. Oh, we were just talking about that, unless you get it wrong. So let's talk about the things, the issues, the bottom line, if you will, with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Retirement Compass radio show is our show. You can find that, The Retirement Compass, on Spotify and Apple. The Retirement Compass. So they bought some gold and silver earlier in the year. Some of our fine friends.
Fine friends.
And they bought it as an inflation hedge. They watch prices spike and pull back hard and go up and go down, and things are wild over the last couple of weeks. So they're second guessing whether precious metals belong in their retirement plan at all, Tim. How should a retiree think about gold and silver when prices swing this fast? How do commodities like that fit into the compass?
How it fits into the compass is a process, and so it's not like a fun screen, so to speak. We look at that within the investment planning category. But again, the three words: balanced, comprehensive approach, right?
Okay.
So we have a balanced, comprehensive approach. I was just looking up real quick year-to-date numbers on a couple different things. So if you look at PSLV, that's the Sprott Physical Silver Trust. It's
well, that's interesting. It's a trust. You don't really actually get a piece of gold.
It's this is an ETF. It's backed by gold.
Right.
This is one where you can actually exchange for physical gold, is what I'm told with Sprott, but not specific advice. Mileage may vary, but you had that huge drop back a few weeks ago. It was right at 2 weeks ago, where there's like a 30-some% drop. It's up 3.17%. A lot of people are looking at this new Fed chair coming in, and they're trying to figure out, what does this mean? The Warsh reality?
Yeah.
And reality is, he's been around for a long time. He was kind of one of the architects of the post-2008 financial crisis response and Fed balance sheet. He's big on, quantitative tightening, kind of. So, the government bought up all these different bank assets with quantitative easing. So they'd buy up long-term bonds, short-term bonds, mortgage-backed securities. They just started buying a boatload of fixed income securities. Well, that adds liquidity, right? Because they're buying the product, they're giving cash to the banks. The cash then floods into the economy. And he kind of has said, think of a pool. If you put more water into it, you have more liquidity, right? So you have a chance for higher inflation because there's more of the thing, right? You've diluted the body, if you will. Quantitative tightening would be the opposite. I'm going to start draining the pool. Well, then you can start getting into how does that affect the value of the dollar? And if you have a stronger dollar because there's fewer dollars, then, precious metals maybe aren't as good of inflation hedge because you don't have this massive, money printer fire hose type thing we had, not only post 2008, but also post, pandemic, 2020, where they fire hosed money and everybody I got a stimmy check. One guy named Bob, a client of mine, called it Biden bucks.
Biden bucks.
He's like, you get your Biden bucks yet? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, the Biden bucks that are coming out. Good grief. So, Yeah, and he was retired and wasn't impacted at all financially, really, because the market had already recovered, right? And so, but here, you have more money anyway. So easing versus tightening, I think that has a big role to play, or at least a substantial role in what we're seeing in the commodities markets, specifically with metals. But this is why you don't invest. You don't measure your success as an investor using a yardstick or a ruler. Right? If I told you, hey, how far between here and Charlotte, here being Lincoln, what would you say?
I don't know. I have to.
A few hundred miles or whatever,
Right.
like several hundred miles. But what if I said, no, Jackie, I don't want it in miles. I want it in feet.
Oh, heavens.
Like, no, that sounds ridiculous on its face. Well, so does measuring your success with your investments based over like I had a lady tell me the other day, she was like, I check my investments every single day.
Oh, golly.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So do they have a role? Sure. Like, they've been great. Look at the 3-year run on gold and silver. Let's see, 232% for silver and 161 for gold. Hey, it served its purpose. We gave it a lane. We did it intentionally. But we're not going to just say, oh, well, no, it's the first sign of weakness. We better just bail out. That's what gets people in trouble in the first place. Does it make sense?
Well, absolutely it does. And makes sense to call Stonebridge so you can iron all this out.
Oh, it does.
866-295-5146. 866-295-5146. Stonebridge Wealth Systems. How about this? They own a home for $550,000 with no mortgage. But maintenance and taxes are going up, and this is concerning. They feel like downsizing. Sounds appealing, but prices and rates still feel high. How should a retiree evaluate whether staying put or selling really makes more financial sense?
Staying put or selling. So it's more than just the taxes. It's more than just the maintenance. I saw this the other day. So this is the average annual premium for homeowners insurance in 2025. In good old North Carolina, it's $2,699 a year, average.
Wow.
In South Carolina, Myrtle Beach got all that snow. Did you see that?
Oh, my gosh. You cannot believe how weird it looked.
Holy jackrabbit. 2,562. Florida man, the free state of Florida.
Yeah.
5,735. Hurricane Andrew, he ruined everything.
That's a lot of property tax.
Oh, that's insurance. This
Sorry,
is
insurance. Oh, because
is
of thanks to the hurricanes. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Nebraska, 6,425 per year on average. Are you kidding me? It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. West Virginia's 1,040. Let's move there.
Let's go there, everybody.
But so, the point I make is when you're talking about property, you have to look at more than just the cost of the property. There's the cost of owning it because you never really own it. Taxes in Nebraska are fairly high, right? Depending on what county you're in, your levy's like 135 or 147 or whatever it is. I mean, there's some variation there. But your insurance is just killer. Like Brian, our insurance guy in Kearney, he said, if you're looking at somebody asks you how much am I going to have to pay, assume at least 10% of what your house is valued at. So if you got a $450,000 house, you're going to pay probably at least $4,500 a year for homeowners insurance in Nebraska. That's shooting from the hip a little bit. It's a rule of thumb.
Wowie.
But I saw this and I was just absolutely disgusted. $6,425. That's the most expensive in the United States.
That is a huge premium.
So again, my advice to folks is just when you're talking about property and you're rent or buy, renting still looks pretty darn good, unfortunately, right now, relative to buying, because when you buy, even if you then use it as a rental, your cap rates just get eaten up by taxes and insurance.
Yeah. But renting is no picnic. People think, oh boy, I'll just rent. You got to have a good property management company in the building that you're in. I mean, there's so many factors. Would you rather be at home or would you rather be surrounded by people who aren't obeying rules? That's just me.
Sure. And, I was lucky when I rented here in Lincoln. I rented at Thomas Brook, and it was mainly older people that were in my building. And so, there's this little lady who'd go walk her little tiny dog.
Yeah.
And
And keep an eye on everything.
And Mary got to be friends with her. Mary was the name of the late Merry Christmas. That was the name of my dog back in 2013. A Chinese Shar-Pei.
Oh.
God rest her soul.
Yes.
My wife hated my dog. Oh, it was bad. But like I was fortunate in that. Like there was no like ruckus. I wasn't in the North Bottoms. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, the number to call to, like I said, iron all this stuff out is 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. We like to do these scenarios so that maybe it'll spark a little light bulb in your brain and say, hey, they could talk to me about this. Their first RMD is coming next year, but they don't actually need the money to live on, Tim. Oh, have you encountered? I know you have. We were already talking about this today.
They're still in their golden window.
Mm-hmm. So,
you know what the golden window is?
No.
Okay, the golden window is between retirement and RMD age. You have this period here, right here, here to here, where you can make some good strategic tax decisions. Okay, so, hey, you know what? I want to minimize my RMDs. My RMD is going to put me over the first two IRMAs. Ooh. My RMD is going to put me over the first IRMA. IRMA, income-related monthly adjustment amount. It's the effectively means testing on your Medicare premiums. You don't get more for it. You just pay more for it.
You pay more. That's right.
So, maybe I need to look at the Roth done right strategy or the legacy done right strategy at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. What does that look like? What that means is Roth done right is if I want to convert money from traditional to Roth, because everybody's talking about doing Roth conversions, but you don't want to do it willy-nilly. There's a mathematically ideal balance to convert total and per year, okay? So, like, a mistake people make is they just shoot from the hip. They're like, I'll just do my own. It's like, okay, how much you going to convert? I just kind of looked at the amount and figured I was going to pay about 25% and said, I can afford that. Well, then they end up going over an IRMA by like a penny, right? Well, that's a cliff tax. What that means is if you go over by a penny and you do the conversion in December, 2 years later, you're going to pay more for the whole year, not just for that month that you went over. Nice. So, like, you have to be strategic about this, but this golden window for this couple is rapidly closing. So Roth Done Right is going to say, would you be better off doing a big conversion now or over the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, or just a little bit at a time for the rest of your life? In other words, do a larger conversion now, pay more tax in the interim, pay higher Medicare premiums for a few years. Therefore, you avoid paying that extra premium for a lot of years, right? So I'd rather go over the first 4 IRMAs maybe, and this isn't specific advice, for 3 years, than go over the first 2 for the rest of my life. So here's what I want to leave you with.
All right.
Because there's a lot of ideas here. Here's what it comes down to, because a lot of people think like, I'm hesitating to commit to a meeting or something like that. I talked about airplanes earlier and air traffic control. Let's say that you're going on a trip and you have 2 different jets you can take. One, you walk in and you look to the left. Everybody does this. You kind of look to see if you can peek in the cockpit to see who's flying this sucker. Especially if you're going over water. You're like, he better look like Sully, that guy that landed on the Potomac.
Better look capable.
Like he better have some wispy eyebrows on him, And you walk in and the one plane, it's like, you look at it, okay, yeah, they look experienced up there. The other plane you get into and take a peek, there literally is no pilot. There's no co-pilot, okay? But sitting right next to the pilot seat and the co-pilot seat is a computer with a robot inside of it, a robot voice that says, hi, I'm Grong, not Grok, Grong, okay? Just maybe a relative. And I will teach you how to fly this plane. If those are your 2 options, which plane are you going to get on?
Sully's plane, gosh darn it. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Retirement Compass Radio Show.